Hey everyone, it's Anna. Welcome to my garden and thank you so much for visiting. It is the evening of July 9th and the sun is about to set and it's casting a very pretty yellow glow across the garden. I love this time in the garden and it always seems to be when I try and get down to do my last chores for the evening and catch some video or photos. But before we get too far into the garden tour, though, I wanted to share this row of plants along the front edge of the garden. These are all perennials that will bloom year after year. So there's all kinds of things here, from echinacea to rudbeckia to yarrow. So this will be a fun row each year. And then back to the cut garden area, it starts with a row of sunflowers, and then there's 2 rows of dahlias. There's a row of celosia and straw flowers, followed by zinnias, and then a full row of cosmos, more zinnias, and then a couple of mixed rows as well as a full row of snapdragons. Here are the sunflowers. I've been able to harvest a dozen or so sunflowers so far, but these are looking to be ready probably in the next week and a half, and then I'll probably be surrounded by more sunflowers than I know what to do with, but they are making good progress anyways. There's also lots of ladybugs in the garden this time of year. Here's one of the sunflowers that I harvested this evening, and it's looking lovely in a bouquet already in the house. Here's another section of sunflowers that I put in. This is at the end of all the cut flower rows. These are my branching sunflowers. So all the other sunflowers that you've seen have been the single flower variety where they only put up one flower and then that's it. These flowers here will have multiple flowers on each stem. Past the scarecrow there are my zucchini, and then you can also see the pumpkin rows there as well. I think there's about 36 or so pumpkin mounds on the far side of the garden. And then I have these mounds of zucchini as well as a variety of squashes here too. There you can see the water line that I put into each plant so that each plant mound has its own drip system. And then I did put in another section of sunflowers here. These are little guys, but they're in the more fall colors, like the dark reds and dark oranges, and the mixed fall color sunflowers. And then you can see the various different cut flower rows. My rows are about 25 feet long. Some of them are a smidge shorter, and they are 30 inches wide, and they have 2.5-foot walkways in between. So next to the sunflowers, I have 2 rows of dahlias. I have been battling some voles that have eaten a few of my dahlia tubers, which is disappointing, but doing what I can to battle those guys so that they're not taking out any more of my plants. But you can see the flowers on the dahlias are starting to come on, and they've been so fun to pick. The ones that have bloomed so far have been so fun to take inside and enjoy. And there's only going to be more coming. So this is one of the dahlia tubers that I overwintered. This is called Totally Tangerine. So I was excited to have that in the garden again this year. And this one is called Linda's Baby. There's so many dahlias in the field. I wish I could tell you the names of all of them, but I'd have to look at all the tags. I do know quite a few of them. This is Marn or Sylvia, and it's a beautiful cantaloupe orange color. This one I can't remember the name of, but she's a beauty. She's been blooming and was one of the earliest to bloom. And this one is gorgeous as well. This one also might be Linda's Baby. And then this one is called Giggles, and she's missing one of her petals there. And then this one is Ilse, I-L-S-E. Very pretty. After the dahlias is a mixed row. It starts with zinnias at the end, and then it moves into some straw flowers. Then there's another small section of zinnias, followed by a big section of celosia. This was a row that had some frost damage, so I kind of filled in with plants that I had available. And then following that is a full row of zinnias in various different colors. This is the Benares Giant zinnias. And there's a plant here at the end that I don't remember what it is, so I'm excited to see it bloom so that I know what it is. And then after that is a row of cosmos in all different colors. It starts off with orange, moves to afternoon white, then there's all the double clicks, in various different colors, and the bicolor violet I think might be my favorite, but they are so gorgeous. I've been picking off of them for a couple of weeks now. They were the first flowers I think that I was able to harvest from, and it's hard to keep up with cosmos once they start flowering because you've got to keep up on deadheading them, but they've been so fun to have, and I really have enjoyed having big bouquets of cosmos in the house. Here's a few of the pretty flowers. There's lots of ladybugs in the garden. The aphids were really bad this year, but the ladybugs have come in full force and are doing a good job of knocking back aphids. So isn't this one pretty? It's so fluffy. And the double click cranberry is so beautiful as well. And then I think my favorite is probably the bicolor violet. I love how frilly it is, and I love how it looks like it's been watercolored. So pretty. So after the row of cosmos is another row of zinnias, and various different colors. It starts off with some Benares giants, but then there's also some floret zinnias in here, as well as some Oklahomas. And then here is one of the pretty zinnia blooms in a coral color. And then there is a mixed row. This one has some pincushion flower, some verbena, some straw flowers, and some sweet Annie down there at the end. So this is kind of just a mixed bag of flowers. And then there's a row of straw flowers and statice, and the straw flowers are ready to harvest, so I'll be picking a bunch of those probably tomorrow or the next evening. And here's a fun pincushion flower. This is the seed pod. After the flower petals have dropped, this is the seed pod that's left. And the straw flowers are looking gorgeous. There's some seashell variety mixes. There's some really pretty apricot color mixes. Some raspberry mixes. Pomegranate, I think, is the one that's actually the tallest and the darkest. This pomegranate color was from Floret. Cute little ladybug working over the flower. And there's also some salmon rose straw flower in here as well. And then there is a full row of snapdragons that have started to bloom. And these things are so tall. Those red ones that you see there about center frame, they are about chin high on me. So they are super tall, and excited to have those. I'm going to pick those tonight or tomorrow and take those in the house, and then excited to see how the plants branch out and provide more flowers throughout the season. And then here's another look at the end of the straw, or the snapdragons. And I need to get down here and get some lines set on the outside. My snapdragons are starting to lean. You can see there's a hummingbird working over the flowers as well. Here is some honeywort, followed by some nigella, a volunteer sunflower in the middle of my bells of Ireland, followed by some blue plurum, and then after that, at the top end of this bed is some sweet William. I also have a beautiful display of sweet pea flowers, and they smell so good. We've had visitors come down to the garden, and when the breeze comes through, you can smell the sweet peas across the garden. They smell so good. So I've been harvesting these, bringing them inside, and then also sharing them with friends, putting them in bouquets, and they've just been a delight to have. These seeds were given to me by my friend Tracy, and they've been really fun to grow. This is a plant that I put in my perennial row on the end of the garden. This is Rose Campion, and I love growing this. It was always one of the flowers that my grandma had in her yard, so I love growing it. And then there's also lots of different yarrow in this row, as well as some rudbeckia and another volunteer sunflower. And then this is a yarrow as well. I don't remember the color. I want to say vintage violet maybe. but so pretty. It was one I planted last year, and it's coming back this year and looks gorgeous. And then here's a look at the pumpkins a little bit closer. You can see just how big the pumpkins, the plants are getting on each of their little mounds. It's been so fun to grow these. I've never grown pumpkins before, so this has just been really fun to do. And hopefully this is going to become just a sea of pumpkin vines and pumpkins. I put the water lines in because I think it's my days are limited on me hand watering each of these mounds without having to walk over vines. So I wanted to make sure that I got each area its own water. In the garden, you can see things are blooming and coming along as well. This is the look of the carrots and the bachelor buttons, and there's of course snapdragons and stuff in there. I did pull the lettuce. It got bitter and bolted, so I gave it to the bunny, and in its place I planted more sunflower seeds. Here are the volunteer sunflowers that have come up in the walkway. And here is a look at the bed that used to be the cauliflower and broccoli bed. Those all bolted, so I pulled those out and replaced them with dahlias and specialty zinnias. So those are coming along nicely. I think next year I'm going to have to plant the dahlias in the raised beds and move things like tomatoes out into the cut flower rows where I'm having trouble with the underground varmint eating my dahlia tubers. Here you can see one of my 3 tomato jungles. This is the cherry tomato jungle, and I'm starting to see little tiny cherry tomatoes form, so that's fun. And this is another one of the tomato jungles, and a huge violet that has taken over on one end. And in the front there of the tomatoes, I have some lemon basil growing. But that violet is huge. And then on the other side of the tomato jungle, I have some really pretty snapdragon varieties planted. This was a mixed packet from Baker Creek, and it has really pretty colors in it. And then in front of the snapdragons is a row of bush beans. And then in this bed, this is where I had lettuce companion planted with snapdragons. So you can see the lettuce is about gone and the snapdragons have really grown. And then this is my decorative corn. So it's coming along nicely as well. So thank you so much for visiting me in the garden. I hope you enjoyed this brief tour. I know I enjoyed taking these video clips and spending time outside in the sun, and hope you enjoyed it as well. So thank you so much for visiting, and I will talk to you again very soon. Bye.